Hi everyone, it's Miss Ryan here, and welcome to your second art project for our new narrative, The Titanic. So, as always, we're going to start off with a sketching lesson, and the WALT is we are going to be learning to use sketching techniques for observational drawing. So all that means is that we're going to be using the sketching techniques we've learned this year in class, which are down the side, some of them here. So things like our hatching, our cross hatching, our stippling. And we're going to be using those for an observational drawing, which means what it says in the word, we're going to be observing a specific picture. So you will need some paper and a pencil. Now you might not have a range of pencils like HBs and 6Bs and things like that shown in the picture here, but I don't have a range of pencils. I'm just using one pencil because that's all I've got. So don't worry about that. Okay, so we're moving on now from our Titanic sketch, and we're going to be looking specifically at icebergs. Okay, so a little bit of background information about what an iceberg actually is. So I'll read it to you. An iceberg is a large piece of ice floating in the sea. They are generally found in cold water near the North or South Pole. Icebergs are especially common during spring when the ice has begun to melt. Really interesting fact here, which is why I've highlighted it. About 90% of an iceberg is actually below the water line, so it's underwater, we can't see it. And only 10% is seen above. And I'll show you a picture very shortly. Just by looking at that part, you can see it is hard to tell how the part underwater looks and how close you can get before crashing into it, which is why here it might have been difficult for the members of the crew in the Titanic to see the iceberg, and obviously you can't see what's underneath the water, so you don't know what the ship is crashing into underneath. Icebergs break off from large structures made of ice, like glaciers or ice shelves. These are formed by snowfall in very cold places where it will not melt in the summer. The snow builds up and compacts into ice. A little bit of science here. This is gradually pulled downhill by gravity and into the sea. The ice then falls off and makes icebergs. The icebergs can drift in the sea for years before they have melted completely. So that's how they're formed and how long that they can last. Icebergs are dangerous because they are huge and they float low in the water, which can cause danger to the ships. They tend to flip over at times, and when they flip over, the energy is so big it can cause tsunamis and on occasions can trigger earthquakes. While icebergs may be best known for sinking ships, however, this is why I've chosen them for our art piece, there is much about them that is undeniably beautiful. Okay, so moving on, before I give you some ideas, this is the sort of thing that you will be doing when you're observing your picture. So you need to have a look at what the outline is like. That's the first thing that you'll be doing. Have a look what the outline's like. What sort of shapes are the icebergs? And they're all going to be different shapes. What is the texture like? So of the iceberg itself. So when you come in to do the texture, what kind of sketching technique are you going to use when adding on the texture, the roughness and the smoothness of the iceberg? And equally important, look at the reflection of the water. What kind of sketching technique will be best to represent the stillness and smoothness of the reflection? What colours can be seen? You'll need this later on in a couple of weeks' time, because they're not always white, okay, on the photographs. You can see sometimes I've got little bits of blue in there. and where are shadows forming? So this will really help you with your tone, shade and tone. So where are your darker parts of the ocean? Where's your darker parts and the shadows on the icebergs? Okay, so this is your task. So your task, you're going to choose an iceberg to sketch with very fine detail. Now you can go onto the school website, 6th page, and you can find the Word document, which is here, and you can print off any of these that you want to draw, so you can choose which ones you fancy doing. Or if you want, I will give you the option and you can choose your own to do. If you can't print the pictures off, don't worry, just sketch them from your screen. Okay, so just to show you what it might look like, here are some examples from last year. So we cut out the pictures and stuck them in our art books, and then the children used their pencils and they sketched the icebergs underneath. Okay, you can see how they all come across different. Right, on the next video, I'm going to model how I would go about starting off my iceberg sketch, and then I'm going to show you my finished piece at the end. Okay, so I haven't printed my picture out. I'm just going to use my screen to observe from. So I'm just going to, my aim is to try and fill the page. So I'm going to start off again, like before, just pressing on really gently and following the outline of the iceberg all the way around. So every little jagged bit that you see on your iceberg, and I've just chosen to do the first one on the document, every sharp bit. So you might have some areas that are sharp, some that are not. Okay, so you're just following the line round. This can just be a rough guidance for now. All the way down to the bottom. Bring this down. You can get your C horizon line ready as well. My iceberg actually comes all the way down there. Okay. So you just want a light, rough outline of your iceberg. Then when you're happy with it, you can start to go back over it to make it stand out. And that is where then you're starting to look for the detail on your iceberg. So my iceberg here actually then comes down here, and I can see a little bit of a darker area here. So this is where you can use your sketching technique. So don't forget you've got your hatching, and if you want to make darker lines, you need to press on harder. You've got your cross hatching, which is a bit like hatching, but then crossing back over. You've got your scumbling, and you've got your stippling. Okay, so don't forget that you've got those four. So again, I'm picking out the darker areas. Now there's a bit of a darker area here on my iceberg, so I might use my scumbling effect. Okay, you can vary your techniques. And I'm just going to carry on like so. See, there's a line that comes up here and down, and you can see the shadow underneath. Okay. So I'm going to carry on with this, and I will show you my finished piece at the end. Hi everyone. So this is my finished piece. Okay, so you can see how I've tried to capture the darker areas and also the really fine details. So I'm going to carry on with it because I've just had a good look at it and I think I can improve my own piece. So I'm going to add a bit more darker areas to it, and I'm going to adapt the sea and make the sea come to life a little bit more. So don't forget to email your teachers your finished pieces, or you can tweet them. It's totally up to you. I hope you enjoy it, and happy sketching. See you later.